This is your next best step. I'm Coach Janet J. Today, we're getting into something that drains more energy than most women realize, and it's not on your to do list. It's a conversation. The one you've been rehearsing in your head for weeks, maybe months, and have never actually said out loud. Let's talk about what that is costing you. You have had the conversation 100 times in the shower, on your morning walk, at 2 a.m. when you cannot sleep. You know exactly what you would say. You have rehearsed your tone, your words, the pauses. The only problem? The other person has never heard a single word of it. And research says that conversation you keep practicing in your head is taking up far more mental bandwidth than you think. Your brain literally cannot let it go until you do something about it. Maybe it's the conversation with your sister about the caregiving responsibilities that are not divided evenly. You have been carrying more of the load for months, and she doesn't seem to notice. Or maybe it's the one with your spouse. You are in the same house, and you feel like roommates. You want to say, I miss us, and you are not sure of what would happen if you did. Maybe it's the conversation with your adult child about the money they keep borrowing. Or the one with your coworker about the project she keeps dumping on your desk. Or the one with your friend who only calls when she needs something. You know what you want to say. You have refined it, softened it, reworded it. You have imagined every possible response they might give. The defensiveness, the tears, the silence, the anger. And because you can picture all of those outcomes so clearly, you decide it is safer to say nothing. So the conversation stays in your head, and your head never gets a break. In episode 78, we talked about why finishing hard tasks feels so good, the neuroscience of completion and the relief that comes with it. Today, we are looking at the flip side. What happens when something important stays unfinished? Specifically, what happens when the unfinished thing is not a task on a list? It is a conversation with someone you love. Researchers Campo and Baumeister found that unfulfilled goals create what they call cognitive interference, intrusive thoughts that pull your attention even when you are doing something completely unrelated. Your brain keeps circling back almost involuntarily because the situation feels unresolved. Here's the part that matters for today. They also found that making a concrete plan to address the unfulfilled goal eliminated the interference. The intrusive thoughts stopped even before anyone acted on the plan. It was the plan itself that gave the brain permission to let go. That conversation you keep rehearsing, your brain is treating it like unresolved business. And because you have not decided what you are actually going to do about it, your mind keeps looping. That is how your brain is designed to work. It's doing its job. It just needs a signal from you that you have a plan. So why do you keep rehearsing instead of speaking? Because avoiding the conversation feels like a safer choice. And in the short term, it is. You don't risk the argument. You don't risk the tears. You don't risk hearing something you cannot unhear. Psychologists call this experiential avoidance, the pattern of steering away from uncomfortable emotions, even when avoidance makes things worse over time. A 2022 meta-analysis that reviewed over 400 studies and more than 135,000 participants found that experiential avoidance is consistently linked to higher rates of anxiety and depression across cultures, across age groups, across circumstances. And for women in particular, the research found that the connection between experiential avoidance and depression was even stronger. The conversation you are avoiding is not protecting you. It is draining you. Proverbs 16:24 says, "Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones." The Hebrew word for gracious here is noam. It means pleasant, beautiful, delightful. These are not words that flatten or appease. These are words that are both kind and true. And notice what they heal: the soul and the bones. That is not just poetry. That is emotional and physical. The conversation you are avoiding is affecting both. Sometimes the most gracious thing you can do for the other person and for yourself is to finally say the thing you have been carrying. I want to pause here for a moment. If you have been listening and have a specific conversation that just surfaced in your mind, you know the one. That is not coincidence. That is your brain flagging the tab that may have been opened the longest. You might be thinking, I have a good reason for not bringing it up. And you might. Timing matters. Safety matters. Wisdom matters. I am not suggesting you blurt out every hard thing at the next family dinner. Here is something we're sitting with. Research from Emma Levine at the University of Chicago and Taya Cohen at Carnegie Mellon found that people consistently overestimate how badly honest conversations will go. In their 2018 study, published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology General, participants who were instructed to be completely honest for 3 days expected the experience to be unpleasant and socially damaging. What actually happened? Those honest conversations were more enjoyable, more connecting, and less relationally harmful than anyone predicted. We over-rehearse because we over-predict the worst. And in the meantime, the weight of the unsaid keeps pressing down. This pattern touches every pillar. Mentally, the rehearsal loop fragments your focus and burns through cognitive energy. Emotionally, the avoidance breeds resentment, guilt, and loneliness. Because how can you truly be known by someone if they have never heard your real thoughts? Physically, suppressed conversations often show up in your body. Tension in your jaw, tightness in your chest, disrupted sleep. And spiritually, there is something heavy about carrying words you were meant to speak. Proverbs tells us gracious words bring healing. Unspoken ones cannot. Here is your next best step, and it does not require you to pick up the phone or sit anyone down at the kitchen table. Not yet. Write down the conversation that you keep rehearsing. Not the whole script, not every possible outcome. Just get it out of your head and onto paper. Then write the one sentence you would want most to say. That one line, if you could say only one thing that captures what you really need the other person to hear. You don't have to send it. You don't have to say it. Not today. The research tells us that by making a concrete plan, even just writing it down, is what tells your brain it can stop circling. It closes one mental tab. That's it. Pen, paper, one sentence. Let your brain rest. Your brain keeps rehearsing that conversation because it reads the situation as unresolved. And unresolved things demand mental bandwidth. Avoidance feels protective, and the research is clear. It is linked to higher anxiety, more depression, and deeper relational disconnection. Proverbs 16:24 reminds us that gracious words, words that are both kind and honest, bring healing to both the soul and the body. And your next best step is to not have the conversation today, It is to write down the one sentence you want most to say. Close the tab, let your mind breathe. On Friday, we're stepping into a question that comes up every spring for people of faith. What do you do with the space between Easter and Pentecost? That in-between season when God has done something powerful, and you are still waiting for what comes next. This is more relevant to your everyday life than you might expect. Follow or subscribe wherever you are listening or watching so that you don't miss an episode. And if you have a moment, a rating or review makes a huge difference. It helps other women find this show, and I am so grateful for you. I will see you Friday. Take your next best step.